Today we are celebrating your birthday. You were born in June. You're even more than 100 years old.
I'm 101 months now.
And how does it feel to be 101 months? And how does it feel to be here to celebrate your birthday?
It feels wonderful, great, and oftentimes it isn't so great. But right now it's wonderful. You know, when you're 100, you're expected to have gems of wisdom.
Absolutely.
And Haigazian University had a banquet in Beirut on June 1st. Mm-hmm. And they wanted me to make a record, a disc, that could be played at that banquet. And the more I thought about gems of wisdom, the more speechless I became. So that I struggled and struggled to think of something to say that would be, reasonably intellectual, and nothing would come. So I just kind of relaxed and recalled a dream I had. Very interesting dream, because we have in the town I live in a small university, Wilkes University, and they had a speaker at a place that I attended, and I was sitting way up in the back row, and when they opened the meeting for discussion, I wanted to say something, but I was too far back to be recognized, and I was frustrated. And I had a dream. I think the dream was inspired by the frustration. And the dream was that this man had been speaking, and he was saying very interesting things, and I was able to get his attention and ask a question. And I said, "What would you say was the single main item in your thinking?" And he said, "Well, I think if I had to do it, I would call myself a posnologist." Posnologist, I thought, in my dream. I don't want to appear ignorant here, but I don't know what a posnologist is. Anyway, he said, "Well, would you mind describing for me succinctly, what is a posnologist?" "Oh," he said, "posnology is the science and the art of joyful living." So up in my area now, we have a new word in the vocabulary of the English language, and it's posnology.
You are remembered as the first president of the Haigazian University.
Yes.
What do you think do we owe the success? Was it laying the foundation? To what do we owe the success of Haigazian, which is shining now as one of the only Army university in the diaspora?
It's really, really going very, very strong now. Haigazian, under its new president, Paul Haidostian, is tremendous, I think. I think what happened with Haigazian was that we got a series of people to be in charge. I was the first one. And it seemed that each person had some peculiar characteristic which made that person the right person for that moment. And I like to think of myself, I'm glad my wife isn't here because she thinks it's too self-effacing, but I like to think of myself as being the naive one who should never have started a college, but once he got started, didn't dare not continue. And there's some truth in that, because the enthusiasm of some of the leading figures for this thing sort of waned, and there was always that core of students and faculty and board who were sold on the project and who kept it going. And now it really is a gem.
Truly is.
Yeah, it is.
you have written the book, The Thirsty Enemy, and you must be very, very proud. I haven't read the book, I have to confess, but there obviously is a message. But what is the message of the younger generation who always look back? They say know the past to understand the future, or accept the future, or welcome the future. What is your message to the younger generation who is maybe in a state of confusion these days, much more so when you were around?
Yeah. Well, I would say really, posnology is not too bad in a summary of what it was I would really like to have communicated. I don't know whether I did or not, but it was the idea of breaking barriers. I would say that's been major in my association with Higazian, that instead of closing the doors to the Islamic community, we opened the doors. And we had many students who were rather prominent in the Islamic world, too. I remember meeting two young ladies in Kuwait who were leaders of the women's movement in Kuwait, Higazian graduates. And we've had others who were parliament members, and so Sab Salam's sons both attended Higazian. And I think it was a very meaningful thing to the country in which the college is located. I think that's probably what I would say was the desire that I had when I was there, to promote that sort of thinking. And it's obvious now that the further along we march on our stupid way, the whole world really does need something like that. Yeah, I would say that my main message to perhaps the annoyance of people who are tired of hearing it, but my main thought has to do with breaking barriers, and it's related a bit to religion. But philosophy, my PhD is in theology, so my interests moved in that direction. I would say that not even building bridges is the thing. Building bridges, well, is different from breaking barriers. And the interesting thing is that in the New Testament, in one of Paul's letters, he writes that the two have become one new man, and he means the Jew and the Gentile have become one new man in Christ. Now, the in Christ part easily becomes a barrier, so you've got to understand that aspect of the whole thing as not meaning exclusively Christ-centered, but there's something about this breaking down of the barriers that he is involved in and that the world always seems to need. Now, that doesn't deal with where does evil come from, what about innocent suffering. All those tricky, difficult questions have to be discussed on their own merit, and they have to be discussed. And discussion does not mean dictating something, it means listening and speaking.
blow them out together?
These candles remind me of a cake I received recently that had dripless candles.
It's the same cake.
Specified dripless candles.
It's Higazi, and it's
And
the
then
same
the package said, these candles drip less than others. Now,
That's inside of it was in the local area here, the Metro New York. How Markarian and Miribosian visited John Markarian at Lafayette College and invited him to go to Higazan University. It's worthwhile mentioning that the discovery time, Harry Bollock-John passed away last year, but credit is to be given for the